Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar today, all about questions and answers. My name is Mairead and I am in the west of Ireland. I've been teaching for over 20 years now and I've been with the TEFL Academy for 8 of those years. So hopefully I will be able to help you with all of the questions that you might have for me today. You can ask me questions about literally anything related to the world of teaching. Maybe you have some questions about grammar or phonology. Maybe you have some questions about classroom management. Maybe you just have some doubts about assignments, or how the course is structured. Okay, today, anything goes. Any teaching related questions, we will have a whole hour to deal with them today. So I would encourage you to start typing your questions into the chat box and we will be able to start answering. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you all for taking time out of your busy Saturdays to join me here today. I can see from the chat box that, as ever, we have people from all over the world, which is always really exciting to see. I hope you are all excited about starting out on your teaching journey. As I said, I've been teaching for 20 years now, and honestly, it is just the greatest job. Okay, it really is a lot of fun. So I'm very excited for you all just starting out on the path. So we have Thierry from France. Hey, Thierry, how's it going? We have Roberta in Italy, Saudi Arabia, Iran, South Africa. Oh my goodness. We have Joe. Hi, Joe. I recognize your name from Alabama. Hope you're keeping well this weekend. And we have Valentina in Italy. Nice to see you, Valentina. And Elaine from the Netherlands. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful country. I don't know about you, Elaine, but I always think people in the Netherlands speak better English than any of us speak in Ireland. Their English is absolutely outstanding. Okay, so we have David in Chicago. Oh, my sister lives in Chicago, David. It's a wonderful, wonderful city. Okay, so let's go, guys. Questions. I know you have a ton of them. As I said, it can be about anything teaching related. Okay, anything online course related, maybe assignments, maybe modules. Okay, maybe you have gone through the phonology unit and the grammar unit with some doubts. Okay, maybe you're wondering about the day-to-day life of a full-time TEFL teacher. I know if you haven't, if you haven't taught before, if you haven't taught abroad before, it can be hard to imagine like the day-to-day reality of it. Okay, so yeah, any type of those questions, pop them in the chat box. So hello, Bathsheba. I've seen you before, Bathsheba, and I told you that that is the name of one of the characters in my favorite novels. So it's always lovely to see your name. The beautiful name it is. I was wondering, if you're teaching someone who speaks a little English, where to start with them? Good question. How to figure out their level and things to do with them, especially if you don't speak their language. All right, great question, Bathsheba. First of all, I'd like to tell you all that not speaking the local language or the language of your student is genuinely not an issue. In fact, I think it's a bit of a plus. Because that means that you don't have it to fall back on. You don't have it to rely on. So you've got to work really hard at expressing yourself in English and making yourself understood in English. So, it may be a bit more difficult in the beginning, but it definitely pays off. So even if you do speak the language of your students, don't use it. Okay, don't give them that escape route. Okay, make it clear that you will only communicate in English and it will be better for them in the long run. So, Bathsheba, if you're teaching in a school, like in a language school, they will already sort out the levels for you. Okay, like they will give students level tests and divide them into classes and tell you, like Bathsheba, you will be teaching beginners, beginner adults. Okay, and that way, you will know in advance what level you're teaching. If you don't, like if you're working as a private tutor, you can find level tests online. Okay, there are a ton of them out there. So just go along to Google or whatever search engine you use and type in level test EFL, okay, or level test TEFL. Okay, you'll find a ton of them. Find one that you like. All right, and your student can do it in advance. Okay, so finding out the level is not a big deal. If you're with a school, they'll do it. If you're doing private classes, private tutoring, you can find a test online for them to do in advance. In terms of where to start, well, with the very, very basics. Okay, start with your greetings and your hello, how are you, my name is, where are you from? Okay, like, as that famous song goes from The Sound of Music, start at the very beginning. Okay, keep it very, very basic. Okay, introductions, greetings, basic information. Okay, once you have established that, and once the students are able to recognize and say a couple of words and phrases, then you can use that to jump into perhaps starting to explore pronunciation, starting to explore grammar, in a very simple way. Bathsheba, start at the beginning. Start super basic, get a few words and phrases, and then use that to build on. All right, thank you. Good question. Okay, Elaine, I have a question regarding the assignments. Are there any examples of previous assignments that can be looked at as to get an idea of how they look? Well, Elaine, for assignment B, there is. Okay, if you're doing the level 5 course, I believe you are, right? So for assignment B on the level 5 course, there is a model lesson provided. Okay, or a model assignment provided, just for you to see what everything should look like. Now, the model lesson is on a completely different form to the one you're teaching, but it can be very, very useful for you just to see like the depth of explanation that you need to give for each section and the type of thing you need to include. For assignment A, we don't provide a model, but there are example lesson plans in the course material. Okay, so everything you see in units 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, it should be building up to assignment A. Okay, and assignment C, we don't have models, okay, but the templates are very, very detailed. And, as ever, if you have any questions about them, just send a ticket to tutor support and we will be more than delighted to help you out with any doubts you have. All right, thank you, Elaine. So, hello, Thierry. I have a question about the observing course. Do I have to wait till the end of my level 5 course to start to record my lessons? Good question, Thierry. I would advise you to do so. Okay. I would advise you to finish the level 5 and pass it before you start. But, what's to say that you couldn't jump right in if you're already teaching? I would say, Thierry, send a ticket to tutor support and I will refer it to the tutor who deals with the observed teaching practice course. Okay, and she will give you a better idea of that. Send along a ticket to tutor support and we will get an answer from the right person. All right, thank you, Thierry. Okay, so hello, Nikki. Is it possible to get a teaching position in the USA or Great Britain with level 5 diploma? I don't see why not, Nikki. It would be a matter of approaching, the individual schools or applying to the individual schools. Some schools, may request certain qualifications, but I can't see that there would be a problem with your level 5 qualification. But just start applying. Okay, you don't know until you just put yourself out there. But yeah, certainly there should not be any problems. All right, thank you, Nikki, and good luck with your job hunt. Okay, hello, David. Working through the TEFL Academy program, I find the assignment creation eye-opening. Yeah, a lot of people do, David. In fact, everybody does. Is it expected that a teacher go through this extensive process each class, or are some materials standard syllabi provided? So remember, David, just like any job, when you start for the first time, it all just seems a lot. Yeah. Actually, it's like any job, but I always think it's like driving a car. Do you remember when you started driving? Like, there are a million things to do at once. You're trying to watch the mirrors, you're trying to change gear, you're trying to do indicators, then it starts raining and you're getting confused with the wipers, okay, the lights, it's all happening, right? It's the same when you start teaching. It is overwhelming when you start because there are so many moving parts and you've got to somehow try and keep an eye on everything at once. But just like driving, the more you practice, the more automatic the procedure becomes, okay? And it's the same with lesson planning, okay? In the beginning, it's tough because, you're new, you're thinking of a million things, you're not quite sure how it all comes together yet. But over time, with a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, okay, you will be able to lesson plan really quickly. Like in assignment B, for example, you're teaching what we call a PPP grammar lesson. So that structure of lesson plan is very, very common for planning grammar lessons. So, once you have the PPP structure in your mind, once you've taught it a few times, planning it then becomes a lot easier because it's all kind of becoming automatic in your head. So basically all of this is to say, I know it's overwhelming, it is tough, but just like everything, it gets a lot quicker with practice, okay? And you'll be surprised at how quickly it gets quicker. You probably won't lesson plan in as much detail as you do in your assignments, okay? But you will still need to go through the lesson planning process. If you are working for a school, the likelihood is that there will be a syllabus in place, there will be course books. So, you won't be going out sourcing everything from scratch, which will also help speed up the process. If you are not working for a school, if you're working as a private tutor, I would definitely advise you to invest in some course books to base your lessons on. Okay, because again, that will reduce enormously the amount of time you've got to spend sourcing material. All right, thank you, David. Good question. Okay, Thierry. Excellent. Okay, not so much a question, but a lovely compliment. You are so welcome, Thierry. I'm really glad that it's useful for you. Oh, good. That means the world. Thank you so much. Okay. So hello, Mushroom. It's a fun name to say. Out of curiosity, would teaching figurative language be a part of teaching general English? As I understand, learning English as a home language is different from learning it as a foreign language. Yeah, Mushroom. I mean, we wouldn't teach figurative language like idioms and metaphors and everything from the beginning. With the lower levels, we just want to get across like clear communication. But, as your students start to get a good grasp on the English language, absolutely, throw in some creativity. Yes, some idioms, okay, or some, nice creative use of figurative language. I don't see why not. But yeah, I would focus though initially on clear communication, okay, before I get all fancy and creative. All right, thank you, Mushroom. Okay, so we have David. David, how negotiable are the jobs and hours? I'm sure some schools are very structured and others less structured. How do you navigate that before committing? Yeah, nice question, David. Again, so I would say that if you want to work for a private language school, the chances are that they will have their timetable like very fixed, For example, the school, when I worked in Spain, I worked there for nearly 10 years. I always worked 4 o'clock in the evening until 9 at night, or possibly 10 at night. I didn't have the choices really of what hours I would work. I was told, okay, this is the timetable. These are the hours you have class. And, it was up to me to either accept or reject the job offer, depending. So in my case, there wasn't a whole lot of flexibility, but that could totally depend on the school. So it's always worth, applying for any job that looks interesting, accepting the offer of any interview, okay, hearing what they have to say, and then, you can outline, ideally what you would like to work. And, the same, they can either accept or reject your offer, okay? There's never any harm asking. But in my experience, there was not a great degree of flexibility in terms of hours. Because if you think of these private language schools, who are their clientele? Well, usually school-age children, teenagers, and adults. So the school-age children and the teenagers can only come after school, right? Because they're at school all day. So that is why there tends to be a focus on evening hours. The same with the adult learners, like they have to go to work all day, right? So they can only come in the evening or at night. So that is why you will tend to find an extreme focus on evening hours, maybe starting 4 p.m. going till 9 or 10 at night. That's not to say that there aren't some morning hours. I mean, I've also worked a couple of hours in the morning here and there. But yeah, as I said, just anything that looks interesting, apply. And when you get your interview, you can talk about all of this with them. Yeah, I would say make sure you get all of your questions out in the interview or via email or whatever. Yeah, make sure you have everything crystal clear before you sign that contract. And, make sure you get everything written into the contract and read it thoroughly before signing. All right. So yeah, that would be my advice. If you don't ask, you don't get. Okay. All right. So hello, Diana. Can you explain level A1? Is it difficult for the assignment? It is difficult for assignment B. Okay. So do you mean, Diana, the CEF4 level A1? Are you doing the level 3 course, perhaps? So A1, Diana, would be a very basic level, okay? It would correspond to elementary, okay? So elementary students can, they can communicate in very simple situations. They can introduce themselves, carry a very, very simple conversation, usually in the present simple, about themselves, about their families, about their work. Okay, so, they do definitely have English, yeah, but on a very basic level. Okay, so if you're designing tasks for A1 students, you've got to keep them simple. Okay, there's no point asking them to have a debate about something. Yeah, they don't have enough English for that. Okay, so if you are creating a task for A1 students, make sure it's a nice, simple, clear task that offers a lot of support for them. Maybe you give them some visual prompts, maybe some sentence stems. Okay, but yeah, keep it very simple. All right, thank you, Diana. Okay, David, I'm a private music teacher. Oh, amazing. I know my lessons may take several sessions. Is TEFL taught the same way? Yeah, absolutely, David. It's very similar, I think, learning a language, learning an instrument. Okay, there are no shortcuts. Okay, you've got to put in the time, you've got to put in the effort, you've got to put in the practice more than anything. So yeah, I think you'll find a lot of similarities. Progress doesn't happen overnight by any means, unfortunately. It's very much a slow and steady thing. Okay. Very good. So, hello, Valentina. At the moment, I'm an English teacher at a primary school in Italy. Oh, wonderful. But I'd like to become a teacher in foreign foreign country, perhaps. So, what are the best ways to acquire a good way to teach with confidence? Oh, gosh, Valentina, just practice. I'm going back to my learning to drive analogy. Remember in the beginning, you're a bit scared, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And before you know it, you're doing it without even thinking. So practice. If you're teaching in a primary school, I guess you are already very used to dealing with kids, which is wonderful. If you want to move into teaching maybe teenagers or adults, that can be a bit daunting when you've only worked with one age group. So I would say if you do want to teach like different age students in the future, start getting experience with different age groups. Yeah, maybe do some tutoring, some private tutoring for teenagers and adults. Or maybe do some volunteering to dip your toe in to get a feel for it. Maybe do some online teaching here and there, because if you're already working in a primary school, I'm guessing your days are pretty busy. So, start picking up little bits and pieces that will allow you to practice, not to practice, that will allow you to teach different age groups, and as well as that, different levels, And I think that once you get more experience teaching students of all ages and of all levels, that will naturally build your confidence, because you won't be scared of the unknown. Yeah, because it won't be unknown anymore. Practice, Valentina. Find different age students, different level students, and do it all. Okay, that is the best way to build your confidence, even if it can be a bit scary at first. All right. Thank you. Hello, Caden. How are you? Good to see you. Let's see. I see a lovely compliment here from Nikki. Thank you so much, Nikki. That is really lovely. I don't do any private sessions, I'm afraid. But, any questions, send them to Tutor Support. I am often answering questions on Tutor Support. But thank you so much. That's lovely. Thank you so much, Nikki. All right. Nasi, how are you? In Assignment A with teenagers and their knowledge from computer games, social media, could we make the right judgment for pre-teaching vocabulary? So I'm guessing you're doing the level 5, Nasi, the fortnight text. Yeah, I would say, Nasi, with pre-teaching, the main thing is that you select words that are above the level of the student. Okay. So for example, in Assignment A, you are told that your students are B1 level, okay, intermediate level. That means that you need to select words that are higher than B1, because, they will already know the words that are below B1. Yeah, and they will already know most of the B1 words too, because they are that level. The main thing is not so much their knowledge and their experience of the world of social media, but it's more what words would they not be likely to know. Okay, and that's how you will make your choice. As you know, there is a really good vocabulary profiler we recommend on the course called Vocab Kitchen. So that's www.vocabkitchen.com. If you copy and paste the text into vocabkitchen.com, it will tell you the levels of the words. So then you can go along and select ones that are above B1 level. Remember too that teaching phrases is also really important. Like if you can find a nice chunk of language, that will also help them a lot. All right, thank you, Nasi. Good question. Okay, Mishim, if I may ask, of course you may ask, have you ever been interested in going abroad yourself, or would you say that online classes could be in some manner a lot less stressful to handle? Oh yeah, Mishim, I've done both of those things. I worked abroad for let's see, from 2005 until 2015. See, I was 10 years abroad and now I've been 10 years home in Ireland. So yeah, it's wonderful. I've also taught online. When I moved back to Ireland, I taught online for a year or so before I started working in schools again and for the TEFL Academy. I think, Mushroom, online teaching is a lot less stressful in terms of classroom management, okay? Because basically you have the mute button, you have the power, you turn things on and off. So like essentially there is no classroom management issue with online teaching, certainly not as I found. But, you know, online teaching does have its challenge for sure, like in terms of building that student engagement, building that rapport with students. Obviously, that bit isn't as easy as face-to-face classes. So, you know, it's swings and roundabouts, no matter where you teach, no matter what medium you teach in, whether it's face-to-face or online, there will always be challenges. You know, there will always be advantages and disadvantages to everything when it comes to teaching. Okay. But yeah, thank you, Mushi. Nice question. I would never say that one is easier than the other or one is better than the other. Yeah, they're all just different and come with their own sets of challenges. All right, thank you. So Tatiana, hello. In Assignment C Part 2 text, should we give explanations for the highlighted items? No, Tatiana, not necessary. So this is the Level 5 Assignment C. As it says in the template, you just need to highlight the words. Nothing more. You don't need to do a vocabulary table. You don't need to give explanations. Just highlight. Okay, so that's nice and easy. Okay. So, hi Andrew. From your experience, please share with us a day in the life of an online English teacher. All our situations are different. Yes, for sure. Some guidance on what to avoid, what pillars to build into one's day. So I do think, Andrew, that online teaching, like the biggest advantage of online teaching is that it is flexible. Okay, like you do the hours that you want to do. Okay, it is entirely up to you. That said, when you're starting out as an online teacher, I think it's very, very tempting to just accept all of the hours that come your way. Okay, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll do a class from 8 to 9 in the morning. And then what, do you want me from 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. or 8 p.m.? Sure, of course I'll do that. So I would say while the flexibility is amazing, try to avoid overscheduling yourself, especially in the beginning when it's very tempting to accept everything. If, for example, you have some morning hours and then a long break and then an afternoon class and then a long break and then a night class, you know, it just feels like all day you're either teaching or sitting around waiting to teach. Okay, so I guess my biggest piece of advice would be don't overschedule yourself and try to take blocks of classes so that you don't have bits and pieces going on all day. Because, you know, you can burn out from that really quickly. So yeah, that would be my biggest advice from the start. Have clear in your mind what you want your timetable to be and stick to that. Okay, don't spread yourself too thin. Apart from that, I would say make sure you have some good technology for online teaching. Okay, you know, make sure you have your headset, make sure you have your microphone, make sure you really look after your computer, so have really good antivirus. Make sure your internet connection is stable enough. Actually, if you do start working online for a school, as part of the interview, they typically make you do an internet speed test. Okay, so they'll ask you to download a special program for monitoring the speed, and they'll ask you to take screenshots or to screen share, just so they can see that your internet connection is fast enough and reliable enough. Okay. Apart from that, Andrew, it's pretty much the same as like face-to-face teaching, right? You know, you'll still be planning your lessons. You know, you'll still be finding fun ways to engage your students. it's pretty much the same as face-to-face. So yeah, really my biggest advice would be, don't spread yourself too thin, and try to avoid the scenario where you're teaching at like random times during the day. Try to condense everything into a block. Set your schedule. Yeah. And yeah, don't overwork yourself. But yeah, it is, teaching online is amazing for the flexibility. Okay, that is for sure. Also, Andrew, if you're going to be working as a private tutor, bear in mind time zones. Okay. Time zones can play or can wreak havoc with your schedule. If you agree to take on a class, for example, and then you discover, oh no, wait, they're 9 hours ahead, or they're 9 hours before, that can also lead to you teaching some pretty antisocial hours. So yeah, keep an eye on time zones too. All right. Thank you. Good question. So Elaine, in the level 5 course, does it cover how to market yourself? Oh, good question, Elaine. I know in module 10, we have information on work and starting and finding work and starting out. I can't remember off the top of my head if we deal with marketing yourself as a private tutor. If you don't come across that in Unit 10, send along a ticket to tutor support and we will put together some advice for you. All right. Thank you, Elaine. Okay. So, hello, Ivy. What a beautiful name. Is it possible to teach English to students of grade 8 or 9 while they are using Google Translator? Grade 8 or 9, would they be, Ivy, around 13, 14? We don't use the grade system here in Ireland, so I'm just a little bit uncertain, but I'm guessing probably around 13, 14 years of age. I would say using Google Translate, Ivy, it would be difficult. Because if they're popping everything into Google Translate, or if you're putting everything into Google Translate, they're not focusing solely on English. Okay, their minds are being torn between 2 different languages. So I would say that would be very tricky, and I would not necessarily advise it. Okay. Yeah. Remember, when we're teaching, whether it's online or face-to-face, we really want to try to create an English environment, okay, an English language environment. Okay. Remember at the beginning, I said that it doesn't matter if you don't speak the language of your students. Well, it comes back to that again. We just want to get them used to having to communicate with us in English. And yeah, the way we do that is by communicating with them in English. All right. So thank you, Ivy. Okay, David, is there a way a TEFL prospect can review contract templates or samples so that it can get a feel for what they look like before negotiating? I wouldn't say, David, that there is like any templates as such. Remember, if you're working for a private language school, they are their own business. They're an independent company. They have their own contract, their own way of doing things. So I couldn't say that I've ever encountered like a standard contract. Okay. Again, it just comes back to communicating with them in that interview or via email and asking all of your questions, okay, before you sign that contract. Okay. Yeah, that is the advice I could give you there, because yeah, that I know of, there is no real standard. Okay, because every school is an island, right? They all do things their own way, and depending on the hours they have to offer, etc. Okay, so Diana, do we get an extension if we are not finished with the course, if we are still in assignment B? My deadline is next month. Yeah, you can absolutely get an extension, Diana. That will not be a problem. If your deadline is next month, let's see, March, so you still have a couple of weeks of February left, right? So I would say keep doing as much as you can do, okay? And the week before your course expires, then just like have a realistic think about it. Okay, that will be time enough to contact student services and arrange an extension should you need one. Okay, so, do nothing for the moment until your deadline is fast approaching. Okay, then you can make the call. But yeah, you can absolutely get an extension. That is not a problem. Okay, Elaine, once qualified, how easy is it to acquire students online, and does the TEFL Academy assist with this? We don't assist as such, Elaine. As I said, in Unit 10, though, we do have some advice for finding work. If you are setting up as a private tutor, it will be mainly up to you, though. Like, you will have to do the marketing, like set yourself up on LinkedIn, set yourself up on all of the main social media sites. There are a ton of websites like, what's the name? Preply or Preply, actually. I think it's pronounced Preply. So, put your profile up there. You're going to have to do a lot of research, finding the best places to market yourself. I would say Preply is probably the nicest one to start with, and LinkedIn. Okay. And then if there are any local websites, for example, here we have a lot of classified websites where like people post job offers, etc. So, any way that you can market yourself, do it. Okay, it will be up to you to get yourself out there, capture people's attention, and get students that way. Okay, so yeah, very good. As I said, take a look at Unit 10, which is all about finding work. And if you can't find anything that's relevant to your situation, please send a ticket to tutor support and we will be able to put some advice together for you. All right, so Bathsheba, if you're having to have an hour-long lesson one-to-one with low-level learners, how would you structure that to keep them motivated or not bored or overwhelmed? Well, Bathsheba, I would say just the same as you would structure a normal face-to-face class. Okay, make sure that your lesson plan is structured. Okay, make sure you have an engaging warmer. If you're teaching grammar, you will have your presentation stage. Then you'll have your practice tasks. Then you'll have a production, maybe speaking fluency task. So, everything you learn about structuring lessons in the online course for face-to-face also applies to teaching online. Okay, just follow the structures. Okay, warmer, presentation, practice, production. Or if you're doing like a skills lesson, you might do the warmer, then you might pre-teach some vocabulary. Okay, they might listen to something once, they might listen again, and then you'll end with the speaking task. Okay, exactly as you learn in the online course. Okay, you don't have to do anything different just because it's a one-to-one. I would say with a one-to-one, make sure you have some extra tasks planned though, just in case they fly through it. You want to pull out something that will keep them going, keep them talking, or keep them reading, keep them listening a little bit extra. Okay, but yeah, that's it. Keep things structured and keep things moving. Okay, try not to get too bogged down in specific things. Okay, always bear in mind, you've got to keep it moving. One of the great things about one-to-ones, though, is that you can give extra explanations if necessary. You can let yourself be guided a little by their needs too. Yeah. In fact, you'll be guided a lot by their needs, but still keep in the back of your mind, you want to keep things moving. You want to offer them variety, and your class has to have a structure and a purpose. All right. Thank you, Bathsheba. All right. Hello, Jolly. What a nice name. I am almost completing the last assignment C of my level 5 course. Awesome. Congratulations. You're nearly there. When can I try sending my resumes to prospective employers worldwide through the TEFL Academy? I presume the jobs website. Well, I would say if you're nearly finished, Jolly, just start applying now. Okay. why not? Because by the time they get around to responding to you, you will likely have your results, and you'll be able to say that you have completed it. So I would start applying now. If they ask for a cover letter, you can say that, I am almost complete. Okay, I am almost finished. I expect to be finished next month. Okay, and then carry on as normal with your experience, your resume, etc. Yeah, no time like the present. That said, Jolly, if you're literally only a few days away from finishing, I might be tempted to wait, just so you can say, I have done it and I do have my full qualification now. But yeah, up to you. If you want to start applying, I don't see why you shouldn't. All right, thank you. Okay, so hello, Asha. In assignment B, do we have to explain all the different forms of the first conditional, negative, interrogative, reverse of condition, result clause, nuance of when to use if and when? Well, Asha, in the PPP table, you will have to go through the positive, negative, and question form for sure. You can certainly mention that they can be reversed. Yeah, absolutely. But in the assignment itself, in the presentation stage of the assignment itself, you only have to, or in the teacher language of the assignment, you only have to give the words for how you would present the positive form. Okay, so in the PPP table, by all means, go into as much detail as you want. Yeah, but in the teacher language, only the positive form, elicit the positive form. Okay, and then, yeah, in meaning, you can give what CCQs you would ask, etc. In the whole assignment, Asha, you only need to deal with if and when, okay? Nothing else. So, there is no real nuance to that. You don't have to use other modal verbs or other conjunctions, okay? Just stick to if and when. All right, thank you, Asha. Okay, David, when applying or promoting yourself available as a TEFL teacher, is it beneficial to detail what you are willing to do and during what hours? I'm nearly semi-retired. Congratulations, in the States. Sure, why not, David? I might, though, be tempted to get the students first, and then when they make contact with you, then go through the hours, rather than lay it all out there in the initial advertisement. But again, it's totally up to you. If you want to be like crystal clear from the beginning, that's great as well. Personally, though, I would wait to get the student, okay, because then, once they contact you, then at least you have, a way of communicating with them, and maybe you can reach some sort of understanding. Okay, but yeah, that would be my advice on that. But similarly, if you want to be crystal clear from the off, go for it. Absolutely, whatever's easiest for you. Okay, so if they have a little or a lot of work, they'll know I'll be there during those times, even to fill in for other teachers who no-show. Yeah, why not? Absolutely. Again, in your interview then, yeah, make it clear that you do have a degree of flexibility. I should think they would like that a lot. Okay, Nasi, thank you. You're welcome. I have included off-listed words as well. Yeah, off-list is always a good bet. Okay, for sure. Sounds like you're thinking along the right lines. Absolutely, Nasi. Okay. So hello, Diana, again. Is assignment C harder than assignment B on the level 5? I wouldn't say, Diana, harder. It's just different. Like it's a totally different structure. Like it's not a grammar lesson. It's not a PPP lesson. It's just different. Some find it easier. Some find it more challenging. Yeah, it's just different. Not necessarily easier or harder. I would say, though, that all of our graduates tend to find B the most challenging because it's the longest. Okay, but it's just different. It's a different structure. You'll see what I mean when you get there. All right. So Ivy, what is your take on using Kahoot in the English lesson? Is it more of a teaching aid, or how would you classify the use of Kahoot? Ivy, I like Kahoot. I would be very, very careful though not to overuse it. Okay. With all of these teaching aids and online aids, we don't want to overuse them, because then they just become normal and they become boring. Yeah. Whereas ideally we should be using them, sparingly enough, so that they are still fun for the students and they still have an element of novelty. So yeah, I do like Kahoot, but it's not something that I use all the time, because I want to preserve its specialness for the students. But yeah, I would definitely classify it as a teaching aid. Yeah. Or just a way of, getting through material in a more enjoyable way. Okay. If, for example, you're doing a grammar lesson or a vocabulary lesson, instead of giving, an online worksheet or a paper worksheet, you can every so often just turn it into a Kahoot game, and, it just gives that element of novelty to it. But yeah, I like it, but I would advise you not to overuse it. Okay. So Tatiana, one more question regarding levels assignment C level 5. In the online task, are students expected to use their mobile phones to access the internet? It depends, Tatiana. You can decide, okay? If in your mind they have access to computers, to PCs or laptops, you can say that they would connect via their laptop or PC. If you want them to use their phones, they can use their phones. Okay, it's entirely up to you. You can imagine whatever scenario best suits your task. Okay, as long as they use the internet, in the online task, that is the main thing. Okay, you can decide how they would access it. All right. Thank you, Tatiana. Good question. Okay, let me see. Did I miss any questions? Yes, I skipped this one by accident. Is it true that in the TEFL arena that uniqueness in presenting yourself is valued more than in a normal working environment, at least in the US? I thought I read somewhere that employers want different. Ooh, good question, David. I've never taught in the US, but no, this is not something that's ever struck me, David, in my experience. Generally, employers they want to know that they're getting someone reliable, okay? Someone that's easy to communicate with, all of the qualities that any school would want from their teacher. I can't say that I've ever noticed any necessity to be outside the box or different. Yeah. I would probably think the opposite, in fact, that your potential employer they want to meet you. They want to see that you're an upstanding person, a reliable person, an approachable, friendly person, a helpful person. Yeah, I think that would be the priority to get across. I wouldn't worry about, being super creative outside the box in that way. Okay. Now, maybe the US job market might be different to what I'm used to, but honestly, when I'm hiring, I just want to see the person, the real genuine person, and that they're approachable and they're reliable. All right. Okay, so Kaiten, can you advise about the 1 hour teaching practice? What does it entail? So Kaiten, I'm not sure what you mean. Can you pop an extra comment in the chat box about what you mean by 1 hour teaching practice? Because I'm not quite sure I follow. So can you explain that in the chat box? And then we'll talk about it once I know what you're referring to. Okay. Is it possible in your experience for a TEFL teacher to grab a 3-month assignment stint, test the water as such before making a lengthy commitment? Possibly. Yeah, possibly, David. Have a look, see what's out there. You will generally find different lengths of contracts for sure. Like some schools might only want 6 weeks, some might want 3 months, some might want 9 months. So, have a look, see what's out there. Okay, there can be all types of things and lengths of contracts offered. If you want to do it like in the States, why don't you check out like some volunteering roles for teaching? Like maybe in a center for newly arrived immigrants, maybe asylum seekers, refugees, etc. Volunteering as a teacher would be an amazing way to get some experience without without signing any contracts and locking yourself into anything. So yeah, check out some local volunteering roles. That would give you a great way to find out if it's something that you think you would like. Okay. Mike, hello, Mike. I extended my level 5 last night. However, exchange company became confused. Okay, well, in that case, Mike, I would contact student services like straight away, and they will sort that out for you. Okay. So like anything to do with extensions, payments, etc., that all goes to student services. Okay, so you can ring them or send them along an email and they will sort it out for you. I have every confidence. All right. Thank you, Mike. Okay, Ivy, I just enrolled for the course. How long will it take before I complete the course? If I have any difficulties while completing my course, who do I contact for consultation purposes? Well, firstly, welcome to the course, Ivy. We are delighted to have you. So, Ivy, you have 6 months from the date of enrollment to complete the whole course. Okay. It's the level 5 course, right? I think you told me that. So you have 6 months to complete the online modules and to complete and pass your 3 assignments. Okay. So if you get it all done within 6 months, that is amazing. If you get it done quicker, that's fine too. Okay. Just 6 months is the time, like the maximum time we give you. However, if you get to 6 months and you still haven't finished, you can then get an extension. You can buy yourself some more time to finish, so that's not an issue. If you do need an extension, please contact student services. As for how long it will take you, it depends, Ivy. So if some people are just doing it full time and not working, they can do it in a month or 5 weeks. Okay, some people need the full 6 months and they need another month extension. There is no definite here. It just depends on you and how much time you have to dedicate to it and how quickly you can get through the material. Okay, so I can't tell you how long, I'm afraid. All right, thank you, Ivy. Okay, Elaine, I have only recently started the level 5 course. Good, and therefore I've not done any assignments. Would 3 or 4 hours a week to focus on the course be sufficient time to complete the course in 6 months? So Elaine, pretty much as I've just said to Ivy, it's impossible to give you like a number of hours that you will need. It totally depends on how quickly you can get through the material, synthesize it in your mind and move on. Everybody works at a different pace. So it could be that 3 to 4 hours a week, is enough for you, or it could be that you will need longer. It could be that some modules you get through a lot quicker than others. What I would say, Elaine, is just work out how much time you can definitely dedicate a week to the course and like block off that time. Make yourself a study plan, give it as much time as you can. Doing 3 or 4 hours a week, if you do it consistently, may well get you through all of the material. Okay, again, depending on the speed you work at. So I would say just, be consistent, block off your time, dedicate as much as you can, just push through. But consistency, I think, is the key for getting through everything in 6 months. All right. And so, Caton, the combined level 5 course has a 10-hour face-to-face teaching practice session with an experienced TEFL. Yes, Caton. Yes. I should have realized that. Okay, thank you for clarifying. So in this, Caton, it's 10 hours with a tutor. Okay, it's not that you will be teaching for 1 hour. Okay, you will not. Okay, I am almost sure that you won't be. So you will be doing like a mini teaching practice, maybe like a 10-minute, maybe a 10-minute class, or maybe, a 15-minute class with a group, okay, with a partner. So it's not that you'll be teaching an entire class from beginning to end. Okay, you will be given like a brief for a task, or a certain set of words that you have to teach. Okay, you won't be planning an entire lesson beginning to end. I would say, please don't worry about that. Don't overthink it. Don't be nervous about it, because when the day comes that you're doing your face-to-face session, your tutor will explain everything to you. Okay, it's something that you can't really plan in advance. Okay, so try not to worry about it. And when the session comes, your tutor will explain everything in detail, what you need to do. All right, thank you, Caton. Okay, Valentina, I would like to know if in a lesson it can be a good idea to give students a list of words and then explain to them some real situations to use them. Valentina, you know what? I am not a big fan of lists. I would much prefer that you elicit, that you teach the new words by presenting them and eliciting them. Because, what happens if you get a list? Well, I know if I get a list, I will just stare at the words and I won't even listen to anything the teacher is saying. Okay, I will be just looking at that paper or looking at that screen, reading those words. A lot of times when we give lists of vocabulary, it's like in one ear, out the other, right? The students don't have to work to find out the word. And so it doesn't lodge in their brains. It just like spills out the other side of their head. So I'm not a fan of lists, Valentina. Pick the words you want to teach them and then present it, elicit it, concept check it, etc. Okay, that will be far more beneficial. As for explaining real situations to use them, yeah, absolutely. That's really useful. That's very, very important. Okay, but yeah, perhaps avoid lists, because a list does nothing for student engagement. All right, thank you. Okay, does the TEFL Academy have a section on the blog portion of the website where a TTA graduate can share their experiences? Yeah, absolutely. You can find tons of, graduate stories, where, our ex-students tell us what they did next, the type of job, the countries they went to, the types of jobs they ended up in. So yeah, definitely check out our website and our blog, and you will find a lot of testimonials. It's always really exciting to hear what people end up doing. Okay, good. And I have teaching experience of music guitar on a one-to-one basis, age K-12 and group teaching. Does that qualify as good teaching experience even though not English? Yeah, I would say so, David. Teaching is teaching, I find. So, you can definitely emphasize teaching experience, even if it's not English. Okay. Because, teaching, it's all about clear communication. Okay. It's all about helping, supporting, checking, understanding, offering practice. So yeah, absolutely. Any teaching experience is valuable when it comes to TEFL. All right. Nice. Okay, so, oh my goodness, our time is up, everybody. I was going to see if I'd missed any questions, but in fact, our hour has passed. Wow, that went so quickly. Thank you so much for all of your great questions. I hope that I was able to share some useful insight for you all. As I said, I'm excited for you all that you get to embark on this adventure. I hope you all get through the online course nice and easily and you pass all of your assignments, and yeah, you can get out there and start teaching, yeah, whether it's online or whether it's face-to-face in some far-flung destination. I see there are some questions I didn't have time to get to. Please feel free to send a ticket to Choose Your Support. Okay, there is someone there every day of the week. All right, so we usually get to your questions within 24 hours. One thing I would like to remind you of before we go is that all of the previous webinars are available on our YouTube channel. Okay, so please head along to YouTube, type in the TEFL Academy, and you will see that there are dozens and dozens and dozens of webinars, okay, going back over the last couple of years. Okay, as always, I'm going to ask you to do me the favor of completing our end of webinar survey. Okay, just like any teacher, any teaching organization, we are always looking for your feedback. Yeah, tell us what you think we did well, what you would like to see more of, if you have any suggestions for future webinars. All of your information or all of your opinions are very, very gratefully received. I'm also going to type the link to the survey in the chat box so that it might be easier for you to access. All right. So again, thank you all so much for coming along and spending some of your Saturday with me. Have a great rest of weekend, and I hope to see you all again soon. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.